You know, I just can't believe it. The Waukesha, Wisconsin parade massacre. This could be one of the worst incidents of racist violence in the last 50 years, and nobody seems to care. Now, the alleged driver here has a long history on social media and other places of saying very horrible things about white people. This would appear at this point to be racially motivated. And nobody, I mean nobody in the mainstream media, nobody in government seems to care, especially Joe Biden.
The president said that this administration is monitoring the situation in Waukesha closely. It has been revealed by prosecutors that the assailant swerved his truck side to side as part of an intentional act to run over as many people as possible. 6 people are dead. Some children remain hospitalized. Why hasn't the president visited the members of this Christmas parade attack?
Well, I would say first, as you saw the president convey last week, our hearts go out to this community, to the people in Waukesha, that we've been in touch, obviously, with officials there, and we're all watching as people are recovering, and this is such a difficult time of year for this to happen. It's difficult any time. Obviously, any president going to visit a community requires a lot of assets, requires taking their resources, and it's not something that I have a trip previewed at this point in time, but we remain in touch with local officials, and certainly our hearts are with the community as they've gone through such a difficult time. Go ahead.
Can they even pretend that they care? Can they even pretend? Talk about all the resources that it takes to make a presidential trip. Well, he was able to go to Nantucket for a nice little vacation, wasn't he? This is just not their priority. It should be. You know, it was when a white supremacist killed all those people in South Carolina. President Obama appropriately visited that town that was grieving. 9 people were killed by a white supremacist lunatic. How about Charlottesville? You know, 1 person was killed there, and it changed history. Joe Biden said that's the moment he decided to run for president. I tend not to believe him. Joe Biden, he ran for a lot of reasons, but it wasn't about racial justice. Back to Wisconsin. This does look like a open and shut case. We have to let the process play out. But this is, forget everything else, this is a big news story, right? Oh, I mean, it has to be. This is important. I was watching CNN. Right when they found out who was responsible, this is what they talked about instead.
American Pie had held that top spot since it first landed on the charts in 1972. So that begs a question, John Berman, which song is better?
Why they're both very good. They're both strong songs. And I say that having never heard the Taylor Swift song. But I know if I
and it goes on like this. This is at 7 in the morning on the East Coast. For 2 hours, I actually watched CNN. Not a word about the massacre in Wisconsin that happened less than 2 days prior. Incredible. They don't care. You know why? They can't exploit this one. They can't exploit it for power. They can't exploit it for ratings. They can, though, or they think they can, whenever a white person's involved.
Here's the suspect, okay? He is a 21-year-old white man.
This 21-year-old white male mass murderer.
The suspect in custody is white.
Police say a 28-year-old white male carrying 2 handguns crashed a stolen truck into a building.
It's humanizing the shooter once again.
Yeah.
And can I point out that the shooter is a white man who is alive after they knew that he'd killed 8 people.
I mean, being white seems to be part of the problem. Now, in the aftermath of Waukesha, what did they say about the shooter? They danced all around the motivation, alleged motivation, and certainly the race.
And with that tragedy in Wisconsin where a man drove his SUV into a Christmas parade, at least 5 people were killed and more than 40 injured.
We learned today that the driver, now facing intentional homicide charges, was out on bond after he allegedly punched the mother of his child and intentionally ran her over with the same vehicle at a Milwaukee gas station earlier this month.
NBC News has confirmed that the person of interest, the driver in this case, his name is Daryl Brooks. He's 39 years old. From Wisconsin right now. So far, he's not been charged with a crime. He's just being called a person of interest.
person of interest, the man, the driver, the vehicle. We're not seeing his picture. We're not hearing a word about him. He has an extensive anti-white social media profile, but we're going to overlook all of that. Why? I'm going to get to the consequences of looking over the why in a moment, but this happens. It's true. We have bad people. They look like all kinds of different things. White, black, red, brown, you know the drill. But it does happen when black people kill white people because they hate white people. It happens all too frequently. Let's go through it. 2017, the Fresno shootings, 3 killed, 17 shots fired. Corey Ali Muhammad, he testified he planned to kill white men. In 2017, in Tennessee, the Burnett Chapel shooting, 1 killed, 6 injured. The man was tied to black supremacy groups. Emmanuel Kidega Sampson said it was in revenge for the 2015 Charleston shooting. 2016, Dallas police shootings, 5 police officers killed, 9 officers injured. Micah Xavier Johnson stated he wanted to kill white people, especially police officers. In Southern California in 2013, 4 were killed, 2 were police officers, 3 police officers injured by Christopher Dorner. He wrote a manifesto declaring war on the LAPD due to race. 2013, the Navy Yard shooting, 12 killed, 3 injured by Aaron Alexis. He claimed to be the victim of discrimination in the Navy. In 2010, in Connecticut, the Hartford Distributors shooting, Omar Thornton, 8 killed, 2 injured. The claim motive was racism he experienced at the workplace. In 2009, Lakewood, Washington State, Maurice Clemens, 4 police officers killed by him. He said he planned on killing police, believed to be racially motivated. 1993, the Long Island Railroad shooting, Colin Ferguson killed 6, 19 injured, claimed he was driven by racial prejudice he experienced in America. And I could go on and on and on like this, all right? But why are they not interested when the faces look like this? It's kind of fascinating. They think they can exploit this for power. All right, so I was watching the Sunday shows. It didn't come up on any of them except for this one. 30 seconds, no detail whatsoever, and look how they dance around it and bring it back to those nasty, racist Republicans.
In this anecdotal instance, this guy was out on $1,000 bail for committing serious offenses.
We can see the TV ads already being made. In fact, we saw them made in 1988.
1988, George H.W. Bush versus Michael Dukakis. Willie Horton. Remember him? This was a big moment, and I thought it was a very legitimate issue. Take a look.
Bush and Dukakis on crime. Bush supports the death penalty for first-degree murderers. Dukakis not only opposes the death penalty, he allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend. Weekend prison passes. Dukakis on crime.
Believe it or not, that was considered a tough ad back in 1988. And to this day, the left, they say it was a racist ad. Now, it's not racist. You saw it. I saw it. It's not racist, but it went down in the annals of political history as a racist ad. How dare you say something about Mike Dukakis' record where a person of color did something wrong? Yeah, that's a racist ad in their book. And see what Chuck Todd did? Oh, they're already going to make those Willie Horton-style ads. Back to Wisconsin. We are still suffering the aftermath. I mean, I think about it all the time. I know it's easy not to. But because white people were killed in that attack, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Donna Brazil, you're familiar with her? A longtime Democrat consultant. She had an opportunity to say something meaningful. Instead, it's all about white supremacy.
When we talk about race, we should be able to say we're bringing it up because it is a social construct that needs to be pulled apart so that we're not judging people simply because of the way they look. I don't want my nieces or my nephews or even myself to be targeted if I'm jogging or if I'm going to the store. You know, you never have to worry about me on a Black Friday because I am not going nowhere. I'm staying home. I don't want to be targeted. I have a purse, I have a credit card or two, maybe some cash, but I don't want to be targeted.
All right, nobody wants to be targeted, but she doesn't want to be targeted by white supremacists. She's going to stay home and not shop. She's saying this a week after Wisconsin, and she's afraid of white supremacists. Look, there are other things for her to be afraid of when she goes shopping, especially on a Friday after Thanksgiving. Has she seen what's going on out there lately? All right, the idea that they're still beating this drum about white supremacy, which is phony and stupid, shows you how dishonest they are. But, hey, Donna can't be outdone by that. Listen to the others. She says something totally outrageous. It's time for more virtue signaling.
But you can't ignore the fact if it's a white girl, we'll spend all kinds of resources at the FBI looking for her murderer. But yet, so you say, yes, we're under-resourced. I totally agree. Nothing could be more true on an Indian reservation. But why is it that when the resources are deployed, they all seem to be deployed to white girls who go missing as opposed to Native American girls who go missing or black girls?
Chris, let me put that question to you.
It's not true, by the way, but I'm sure it felt really good for her to say that on television in front of all those people and Donna Brazile. And wow, I mean, that kind of statement is very fashionable. That's what you say on a panel show or at a dinner party. Wow, that's something, huh? What they're not talking about, the victims from Waukesha and even the perpetrator, talking about him, Darrell Brooks. Look, I think he should be put to death, most likely, and I have no reason to think that he's not guilty here. Death or solitary confinement forever, the stiffest possible penalty. But that doesn't mean I don't have some compassion for him. I grew up in a beautiful home with a mother and father. He didn't. Now, that's no excuse, but maybe we could talk a little bit about what his experience was, because it's far more typical than it should be. Alcoholic father, alcoholic grandfather, drugs everywhere. He wanted to be there for his children, but he couldn't pull it off.
I didn't think about, I got this beautiful kid who's going without my time. I thought I would just be this wonderful father, just be the greatest dad ever. You know, the vision is just like, I'm gonna give him everything that I didn't have.
And he wound up in jail. That's from, 14 years ago? I know it's not the most popular thing to say, but I'm not without compassion for that guy. Certainly for the families who are lost. But ignoring this episode, that will not help anyone.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.